Boom shakalaka. What's going on, everybody? Randall here from Crypto Love, and I am joined today by Mark Jeffrey, the CEO of Guardium, also Guardian Circle. What's going on, Mark?
A whole bunch of things. Thank you so much for having me, Randall. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure. I'm glad to have you on the channel today. We have some updates to discuss. Now, I did a video a while back about Guardium, but there's been a whole bunch of stuff going on. It's always awesome to see actual use cases, project development. So we're going to get into that. But before we do, why don't you just let everybody know a little bit about yourself?
Well, I've been a technology entrepreneur for 20 plus years, more than I care to admit. I've been in a company that was invested in by Elon Musk and Sequoia, so I got to see Elon once a quarter, which was kind of cool. I worked with Travis Kalanick, who later founded Uber. I've had a couple wins, one big horrendous loss during the dot-com crash. And now I'm CEO of a company called Guardian Circle, as you mentioned before. So
awesome. So you've been around, you've been with some successful companies, you've rubbed shoulders with some successful people, so you kind of know what it's all about. Now, for people who haven't watched the video that I made previously, can you give us all an overview of Guardium or Guardian Circle?
yeah, so Guardian Circle is an app. It's out right now, by the way, on iOS, Android, and Alexa. So that's been out for about 2 years. Guardium is our token, and together they comprise something we call decentralized emergency response. So 6 billion of the 7 billion of us on Earth have no 911. For those who do, it's not very good. So you call from your mobile device in the States, they have no idea where you are. And that's just one of about 20 problems they could go into. So we just said, you know what, let's start over. Let's reboot this thing from scratch. What would we build today? And the way the world should work is no matter where you are on the planet, whenever you're in trouble, all you should have to do is press a button. Button sends your alert to the cloud. Cloud looks down and sees what people and resources are already near you, then activates, coordinates, and pushes all that help to you as quickly as possible. So think, 10 people in 3 minutes, anywhere on Earth. And for the 6 billion who have never had anything, oh my God, this is like, this is sorcery in their world.
Yeah. I remember, you were telling me about this back at BTC Miami, and it was just mind-blowing, the potential for this, because nowadays we rely on these centralized companies like 911 or the emergency response team to send someone out, and that could take 15 minutes, half hour, if it's even somewhere that you can get that. But with what you're proposing, it's, getting friends, family, any good Samaritans in the area to really get there, and those are the people who are likely to get there the fastest. Yeah,
we definitely, so you hit one very big point. Your friends, family, and neighbors are on your alert grid. And the important point there is they don't necessarily all know each other. So we just sort of slam them into instant communication and location sharing with each other so they can instantly coordinate. We then add a layer of citizen responders, but qualified citizen responders. So think EMTs, think licensed and bonded security people, stuff like that. So it's not just anyone. We don't want to just, we don't want to make a bad situation worse. So there are some rules to the road on this whole thing. But we do think we can do a much, much, much better job than what's out there right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And so why is this necessary for being on the blockchain, or what benefit does a blockchain provide for this system?
Well, there's a lot of things. I wrote a whole Medium piece on it on our tokenomics, but I'll try to be brief because it's sort of a lengthy topic. But basically, we want the responders we want people to all over the world who are a lot of them are unbanked. We want them to be responders in the system. So we need to pay them in a currency that doesn't involve a bank or a government. And we also want this to be transportable across borders. So that argues right away for some form of a token. We also want giving to be a big behavior in the system. So, you and I can sponsor sponsor safety in the developing world by sending, basically buying a pile of Guardium and sending it, and we'll have a mechanism for doing this so it's easy, sending it directly to beneficiaries in the developing world. So, you and I will know that our Guardium was not spent inefficiently or inappropriately because it went directly to the beneficiary. It didn't go through a bank, a government, or an organization. And we can track exactly where it went to. So, as easily as a FedEx package, we're wondering, did it actually make it to the end user? Well, you just go look. Right? We have a blockchain. You can actually, and as long as we present that in English so normal people can do blockchain exploring, that should be very doable.
Yeah.
The two other big things we do that are kind of cool. We store the alert transcripts on the blockchain, which in short means that corrupt police or corrupt individuals can't alter evidence. So this is an exact, honest accounting of what happened, where everybody was. Remember, we have the location information too. Where did they move to? What time they responded to the alert? What they said? All that stuff encrypted, and the keys are handed to the alerting party. We do sort of the flip of that, where you can ahead of time create an emergency information lockbox of all the stuff you don't want people to know about unless you're in trouble. So, your secret health issue, it could be where you hid the key under the rock that opens your front door, your Bitcoin private keys, like whatever you want to put in here. This box is only popped open. Well, first of all, it's on the blockchain. So unlike Experian or any centralized database, we can be pretty sure that that's pretty hack proof, right? Because every entry on the blockchain has a different encryption key. So nobody can just, like Experian, where people just went in there and once they had the database, they had the whole thing. Once they, got through the moat and through the machine guns, once they're in the back door, they've got everything. Not so on a blockchain. We want people to store this very sensitive information. So we have to make sure that it's unhackable. And the only way to do that is to put it on a blockchain. So when you declare an emergency, your box is popped open. And that's sort of one key that's necessary. As your guardians, that the ones that you approve respond to your alert, that's the second key. And only they get access to the contents of your box so they can decide how to deploy that information. So there's more to it, but we also have staking mechanisms and other things to be a responder in our system. You have to stake some Guardium. To put a new device, alert device in our system, you have to stake some Guardium. That's kind of it in a summary.
Okay, great. So you're talking about putting information on the blockchain, and I think before when I did a presentation or a video on it, you were using the Ethereum blockchain, but you've recently switched to Neo. Is there a reason for that?
Yes. So we actually were never on Ethereum, but a lot of people think that. We actually were doing our own Litecoin fork, which was, the more we sort of dug into that, we realized that we were, making a lot of work for ourselves, bottom line. But we did not want to use Ethereum. And the biggest reason why is the transaction speed just isn't there. 21 transactions per second. We saw it get overwhelmed by CryptoKitties. Like it's not ready for prime time, just bottom line, for the sorts of things that we're doing anyway. So we looked around and we discovered that Neo will do 1,000 transactions per second, so pretty good. And it's well on its way to 10,000 transactions per second.
Right.
Number two, there's a great technology infrastructure already up and running in Neo. If you've looked at the wallets, like the Morpheus wallet, the Neon wallet, oh my God, they're just insanely better than anything that exists in the Ethereum world. It's like looking at DOS versus Windows. I mean, it's really that kind of a leap. And on top of that, there are APIs available for these wallets, which make it super simple, like one line of code simple, for us to integrate a Guardium wallet into the Guardian Circle app. So we just looked at that and we just went, oh my God, this is, our lives will be so much easier here. And then, and every day new things come out. Like there's a decentralized exchange called NEX, NEX, that's built into the Neon wallet. That's going to be up and running here, I believe, in a few months or so, maybe sooner. And all NEP5, they're called, the tokens in the Neo world are called NEP5 tokens. All NEP5 tokens will be featured, out of the gate on that exchange. The other cool thing is Morpheus. We are the very first in-wallet token sale. So you can discover and participate in a token sale directly from the wallet. We're the first one that Morpheus has put out there. So that was super cool. That's up and running right now. So
that's awesome. That's a brand new concept.
Yeah.
And then also, I mean, Neo also has a super strong community, and they, you have to have skin in the game in order to get on Neo.
Yeah.
And so, at least when I see everything developed on Neo is so much more trustworthy and just a good idea. Whereas Ethereum, they're like, let's put, cat statues on the blockchain. What's the...
Well, so some people say that like the downside of Neo is that in order to create a contract on the Neo blockchain, you got to fork over like 10 or 20K, which is true. But that has the effect of weeding out the garbage. So as you say, I mean, the Ethereum blockchain is like Android. It's like, every ratty, crazy thing under the sun is in there. Whereas the Neo blockchain is very much like Apple, where it's very curated. There's a small number of relatively very good ideas and apps. It's just very different. So
yeah, that's a really good way to put it. So I guess most what I've been wanting to hear about, and I'm sure what everybody else would like to hear about, there's been a lot of developments going on with Guardian Circle recently, including you traveling to India, all types of things. So share with us what's been going on.
So I should first of all point out we are in our whitelist token sale right now. That will be ongoing until June 1. On June 1st, it's done. We're selling $10 million worth of tokens. We're just inching up to around 4 million right now, so we're not quite there yet. There are two very large announcements that I can't make yet, and it is completely killing me. I'm basically waiting on one very large company to approve a press release, and it's been going on now for about a week and a half. So I'm a bit frustrated because that ticking clock is going, but I believe we're going to get it any day now. So there's that, and then there's also a very major new advisor and token sale participant. Both of these things, I believe, have the potential to drive the remainder of the token sale. I'm sorry for being mysterious. I just don't have approval on those two things yet. It's driving me insane, but I'll deal with it.
Well, that's good to make us all salivate, definitely.
Yeah, I know. And so there's that. We were recently selected by Fast Company as one of their world-changing ideas for 2018. Just got back about 2 weeks ago. Got back from Mumbai, India, and the reason I was there is Guardian Circle has long had a partnership with the XPrize Foundation. Are you familiar? You're familiar with the XPrize Foundation, are you?
Well, just go over what it is for everyone.
Okay. So the XPrize Foundation started probably 10 years ago, and basically a guy named Peter Diamandis came along and said, how do I change the world, basically? And he said, and the thing he wanted to change is he wanted companies, not countries, but companies to go to space. So he put up the very first Ansari, I believe it was called, XPrize. And that was for this first company to just go up and touch the edge of space and come back down. And very quickly that was won by Burt Rutan and a company called Spaceship One, and which was later acquired by Branson, is now Virgin Galactic. But the key learning here was like, oh my God, like this reverse Nobel Prize where you sort of say what you want and then whoever gets there first wins, it works. And so they set up a foundation, raised $100 million or something like that, and set up X prizes for all kinds of things. One of them that they set up about 2 years ago is called the Women's Safety X Prize. And the problem, and these are all hard problems. These are all crazy hard things to solve. The crazy hard problem that they're trying to solve is the problem of safety in India for women. When a woman is assaulted in India and she calls the cops, all too often the cops will come and then assault her also because why not? It's just like, it's crazy. Like it's different there than obviously in the West. So, but I mean, how do you solve that? Because the answer is not more cops, right? Well, hire more cops. Like it doesn't work. So, so where they got in their heads was, well, there's really two parts to this. One is there's a panic button device that the woman has. So think, examples would be a ring with a button on it, or maybe a watch, or maybe something you wear on your arm that automatically detects when you're in trouble. Like, it detects that you're running really crazily. That probably you're in trouble. Things like that. And so there's a device of some sort which sets off the alert. And then there's some sort of way of quickly organizing citizen-based response. They had gotten there in their heads. So they were thinking much like us, like the only reasonable solution in a lot of these situations is a citizen response. And they saw what we had done and they said, oh my God, this is it. This is the second half of the problem. So they approached us and asked us to provide Guardian Circle as an API to all of the XPrize hardware device contestants. Because hardware people and software people are, usually different people. They wanted the hardware people to be thinking about hardware things, like what happens when it gets wet, what happens if I bang it like this, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So we said yes, of course, because the government of India is going to distribute a giant number of these things once somebody wins, and that will contain Guardian Circle will go along for the ride ostensibly, right? So because we're the API that it will plug into. So we were just in Mumbai, India, because there were 100 contestants that started. It got whittled down to 21. 21 devices and teams showed up in India with the XPrize judges, and we showed up to support those device creators. First of all, make sure our stuff worked, because we'd never been on the ground ourselves in India testing our own stuff, and we've had reports of people testing it there, but we've never done it ourselves. So I was a little bit terrified going out there, but luckily things for the most part worked almost perfectly, and every problem we ran into we could pretty quickly solve. So there's a lot of the Indian phone companies by default block all text messages because it's just such an insane problem. Like everyone just getting spammed with SMS. SMS spam is a giant problem in India. So we rely on SMS for part of for logging you in. So getting people through those SMS spam filters was a bit of a tricky thing at first, anyway. So we figured out how to do it. So we were out there in Mumbai, and basically the device people, the people who made the devices, the contestants, got on a train with their devices, and I was sitting there with my sort of master control of Guardian Circle that showed, it was sort of like the God view, where I could see all the alerts going on and where the devices were and everything. And they would just pop up on this map, think like Dr. Strangelove or something like that, right? Except with alerts. So I'm sitting there watching these things pop up. And it was really fun watching, and the energy was just awesome. And the excitement around the devices. The devices were really inventive. I'd spoken with some of these teams before, but I'd never seen their devices in person, right? So, and a lot of the times, actually the most competent ones, they just read our manual and figured out how to use our API and didn't really talk to us very much. So a lot of them were like, yeah, we love what you guys did, and we didn't need to talk to you. This is the first time we talked to a bunch of them. So I got to see some of that in person and use the devices. And the BBC covered it. So BBC is going to do a big thing on it in June. And I'm about to go to the UN in New York in June for the announcement of the winner, which I believe is June 6th. So we'll find out which one of the 5 contestants that were left, the finalists, who gets the rose at the end. So
that's incredible, because like being around cryptocurrencies is so much just it's all air. Everybody's got this big everything, and it's so incredible to actually see real life solutions. You have a working app, you have people already creating devices to be used on there, real life use cases, and then you're going to be going with BBC, the UN, all these different things. That's incredible.
Yeah, so I'll tell you, that's really fun. And I have to say, so I've been, as you know, Randall, I have been on the road nonstop for the last 6 months, doing this at all the crypto conferences. Yeah. Saying the same thing.
Partying at the after parties?
No, I don't party anymore. Like, I'm too old. I'm done with that. Yeah. But it's you got to go out and pitch. You got to be selling. Mm-hmm. And even though it's fun, you're right. Like there's a sort of an air of like, I'm disgusted with myself, right? Because it's sort of like there is just a lot of like hoop. There's a lot of hype, and mm-hmm. and you have to participate in that hype a little bit, but it's a bit not fun sometimes because you just sort of feel like, God, I really wish I could be back working on product, because that's real. And so going to India and normally I'm like talking about global decentralized emergency response, why we need it, and convincing people of that, and just sort of shaking my fist. And I go to India and I start doing my fist shake, and I'm like, wait, I'm in a room filled with people who already know about this. Like, I don't have to convince them. And it was like, I had to sort of be like, oh, right, they already know. They know. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that shtick. And they had working product. And it was just very different and very sort of, I just felt like this tangible relief. It just felt really good. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean the difference was pretty marked between that kind of a event and a crypto conference. So I don't want to rip on crypto conferences too much, but yeah, 6 months of a steady diet of that is a bit much.
Oh yeah, definitely. So you talk about Fast Company, you talk about the XPrize, talk about Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Ah, yes. So there's a guy named Alex Winter. If you've seen Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, he's Bill. Keanu Reeves is Ted, right? So, and a little footnote, they are in fact making Bill and Ted 3. That's definitely a go.
Wonderful.
Awesome, yeah. I've got that right from Alex, so that's fantastic. And he's been hinting at it for a while. So, so back in like January or February, somewhere around that time frame of this year, Alex, you probably don't know this, Alex has done several technology documentaries. One of his big ones was one called Deep Web. I think he did one on Napster. And now he's doing one on crypto. And the crypto one now has a name. It was sort of unnamed Alex Winter crypto thing for a long time. There's now an IMDb for it. It's called The Trust Machine. And so the Trust Machine, they took a lot of footage of Guardium and Guardian Circle and us working and us pitching, and then they interviewed us quite a bit. So we should be in it quite a bit, I think. And you never know until, how they're going to cut it until the end. But
Right.
That was supposed to be released sometime around Cannes, which was just this last week. So obviously they didn't quite make it. But I know that Alex is rushing around, because this is timely information. So I know he wants to get it out as soon as possible. So we expect, so we're going to be in the Alex Winter documentary, and that should be out soon, like next month or two, I would think, the latest.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, that's very cool. I'll look forward to that one. So let's see. We talked about what's going on. How about just briefly, I mean, you have some very well-known advisors on your team.
Yeah.
How about just talking about your team, maybe some advisors? I know you can't release the new one, but yeah, just so everyone.
Yeah. So we, so one of the good things about being old is that you know everybody, and that sort of helps with this sort of thing. So when we first began thinking about doing a token for Guardian Circle and thinking about how it would work, I was able to reach directly out to Michael Turpin. And Michael Turpin runs Coin Agenda. He's a big, well-known name. And he's someone who has done my PR for my companies for the last 20 years or so. So that call was pretty easy. Michael Turpin, within the crypto world, has kind of been at every major coin launch except for Bitcoin. But he helped with Ethereum. He helped with Neo when it was AntShares. He helped with EOS. He's sort of like the Forrest Gump of crypto. He's been everywhere, and has had something to do with every single coin. Over the last 3 years or so, he's launched something like 40 coins, and so it was really just sort of a privilege that I was able to sort of reach out to him and be like, "Hey, Michael, thinking about doing this thing," and he quickly said, "Yes, I'll be an advisor. That's no problem," and that was great. Some of the people. Like Crystal Rose we met via Brock, and Brock was kind of like, Brock actually was the guy, Brock Pierce, who is the chairman of the Bitcoin Foundation, one of the guys behind EOS. He introduced us to the right people at the XPrize Foundation, which is how we got that connection. And Brock was basically, his wife was advising a few companies. He suggested, hey, because I asked him to be an advisor. He just like, look, I don't have time. I'm Brock Pierce, which totally fair, totally fair. He's like, but Crystal would be interested. So I talked to Crystal. Crystal is brilliant. Like I didn't really know her because I was thinking to myself like, well, I don't really know her, so I don't know how this is going to go. And I sat down and talked to her. She immediately had like 3 or 4 suggestions for an app that are in there now. That were like, I was just like, we're stupid for not thinking. And so yeah, Crystal is quite brilliant, and so we were actually quite lucky to get her. We didn't realize how lucky we were until sort of after it happened. And then Richard Titus and I have been old friends for a while. Richard runs ARC Advisors. Richard has just a huge connector, and kind of the guy who knows everyone and is running around. You think I'm running around like crazy? He's running around like 10 times more than I am at every conference and meeting 10 times more people. I have to run the company, so but he is the penultimate connector, and just knows everything that's going on. So I love having him in our circle for that reason, among others. He's also a good friend. Let's see, who else is on my list? God, I have to look at my list here.
Miko Matsumura.
Miko. Yeah, Miko is fantastic. Miko, back in the day was the guy who Sun Microsystems charged with popularizing Java before it was when it was a new little baby language. Mm-hmm. And I was with a company called The Palace, and we had constructed something we called a visual chat or avatar chat environment out of Java in a browser. So of course that's a very awesome kind of demo that's a very visual demo piece. So Miko just took that and ran around the world and said, look what you can do with Java. Look, this is possible. So I knew him from that, and I hadn't really talked to him since those days. And then the whole crypto thing erupted, and he was suddenly a thought leader in that. I've noticed this is a pattern, by the way. People that were thought leaders when the internet was new are thought leaders again. And we're the first people to the table. I mean, Brock was one of those people. Turpin was one of those people. Miko was one of those people. Titus was one of those people. Halsey Minor, who founded CNET back in the day. Mark Andreessen was one of the first people that sort of got on board the Bitcoin or crypto bandwagon. There's something about it that just sort of like those people are programmed to understand what they're seeing, whereas everyone else is a little bit slower off the ball, right?
Right. Yeah, it's doing for money what the internet did for communication.
Yeah, but it's funny to me. It seems obvious, and it was. I kick myself because I should have understood it in 2011. I did understand it by 2013, so thank God for that. But that was a costly 2 years to not understand it. So, but I started writing some small books, not really large books, about Bitcoin. And I did a podcast. I only did like 30 episodes though, called Bitcoin News Weekly. But there's a lot of really cool early interviews. One of them with Vitalik Buterin, pre-Ethereum.
No kidding.
Yeah, and he's describing how he's going to launch it, and he's describing what an ICO is without using those words. And he's basically telling us he's going to pre-sell the coin for Bitcoin. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know if I want to like spend my Bitcoin because I'm not sure. Like, this is some goofy new coin. Who knows what this is going to be? And which was a completely reasonable thing to think at the time. Luckily, I did in fact participate in the Ethereum ICO. Thank God.
Yeah.
I wish I could participated a lot more, but I did a little bit. Thank God. So that ended up working out okay. So
yeah, hindsight's 2020. Is there a place where people could listen to those if they wanted to?
Yeah, they're still up. They should be up on iTunes. So just search for Bitcoin News Weekly on iTunes. Yeah, there's probably about 30 or so episodes. Some of them are Halsey Minor's in there. There's a couple really good, really interesting ones. And then there's a couple of like, I have no idea what happened to that person or that project. Like there always is. So I could talk about, so the rest of my advice, there's a guy named Ryan Scott. Ryan is a big cause world kind of guy. So he's got a company called Causecast that he's been running for several years. He's very much, save the planet kind of guy, save the world more than the planet, help people, not the trees. But he's very much about family offices. Like this whole world of family offices, he's been introducing me to. And these are basically like high net worth individuals, sometimes hundreds of millions to billions of dollars kind of thing, and usually they are looking for charities to invest in. However, now there's a group of them that are looking for cause-based crypto. They like the cause thing and they like the crypto, and they're like, I want kind of both, but they're also fairly scared. Because there's this sort of, all right, so I give you money, and then you send tokens to this ledger thing? Like, how does that work? Like, just the whole, like, they used to there being a bank and a guy that they talk to, right? They're not used to, having custody of their own tokens and worrying about that, and if they do surrender custody to somebody else, what does that mean? Where are you going to keep that treasure? Like in your pocket? Like they just can't get their hands around the new mechanics of it. That's changing, but that's been sort of the stumbling block for a lot of them, I think. So,
yeah. All right, great. So we'll talk about the ICO again just before the end, but anything else upcoming that you want to discuss? Or maybe I talked about XPrize, obviously. We have a partnership with a company called UpChannel, which we've announced. UpChannel is basically distributing dApps on phones in the developing world. We'll be one of the dApps. Guardian Circle will be one of the dApps featured on their phone when it the distribution starts up later this year, and they're projecting somewhere between 30 million and 120 million phones around the world over the next year. So that'll be fairly big. Yeah. We do have an announced partnership with the B token. So that'll be sort of kicking, after we get done with our token sale, that'll be kicking off in a high gear. We talked about Alex Winter and that crypto documentary. I guess that's it. For the news right now. Cool. All right. So, just a reminder for anyone, you said that the ICO is going on now. So just anything else you can say about that?
We got 2 weeks left, and we're going to burn all tokens we don't sell. So great deal for people getting in. We've already got enough to go to the next level, and the partnerships go to the next level with what we're doing. So we're good. It's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no risk of it not happening at this point. It'd be great for us to reach the full 10 million. So I'm hopeful that these two announcements come out. So is either one of them, historically, both of these announcements, when other people have made the same announcements, have driven their token sales to completion, usually within a few days. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm hopeful that the same, it's a different time now, but I'm hopeful that the same dynamic will take hold. So fingers are crossed.
All right. And if someone wanted to participate in your token sale, how could they go ahead and do so?
Go to Guardium, so GUARDIM.co. Of course, you can just go to guardiancircle.com and click on token sale, and that'll take you there as well.
All right. Great. So I think we covered a lot of stuff. I think that was good.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of awesome news and developments. I mean, that was just a few months ago that I did the video, and already a whole bunch of stuff you've been working on.
Miami feels like years ago to me.
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I guess that's how time moves in cryptocurrencies.
It does.
Yeah. Well, cool.
Crypto time.
Yep. Perfect. Well, thank you very much for joining me for this today. Before we go, is there anything else you wanted to discuss, or are we all set?
Please come download Guardian Circle. That's for free. That can protect your friends, family, neighbors. So if you do nothing else, do that right now. Hopefully you'll participate in our token sale and help us save some lives.
Cool. Awesome. Mark, it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us, and then we'll catch you later. All right.
Thank you, Randall.